filter.
I'm waiting on my cue. I usually hear it right back here.
This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Phyllis, why don't you take that?
Phyllis, why don't you sit there?
You will go to do
What? No.
Sir, have a seat here.
So, anyway, let's start off. Today is December 7th. 9 a.m. and we normally start off with public comments, but due to seeing the group in the room, we have some phone calls, and there was a public comment made that we had no intention of actually going forward with it without developing a plan. It was all just talk. But with that said, go ahead.
So if are you gonna do public comment?
Yeah.
Then
We'll
would you
have to.
remind them to please sit at the microphone and state their name before their comment?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Doug Heary, and just going to speak on behalf of my wife, Lori, and I. And first of all, we want to thank you for your service. We know it's a thankless job. We know it's impossible to brainstorm without everybody seeing it. If we were to do all our brainstorming in public, it might get a little ugly. But having said that, we believe in speaking when it's something that is really going to affect us, and we are opposed to any long-term camping. We personally would call that long-term residential housing or camping in front of Lakeshore Drive, anywhere at the lake. The area that was discussed, I think they say the east end of the lake, I kind of call it the northwest corner of the lake. It's an area used heavily by tent campers, fishermen, and the wildlife is in there all the time. Seasonal migratory birds spend the winters in that area, as well as, oftentimes there are pelicans, there are bald eagles, there are fox that run through there, and that type of thing. It's also an area that, when we get the big rains, it does flood halfway up. It comes up over those roads that dip down. But we're just opposed to it. We don't. I don't have an issue with mobile homes. We own 2 of them, and I know these would be travel trailers. I insure many of these young folks that travel the country working on wind farms, and that's what they do. They set up somewhere, and we just don't think that's an appropriate area. It's a recreational area, not long-term housing. So anyway, that's all we wanted to say, and I'm probably going to cut out of here before the other comments, just because the number of people in the room. So thank you for listening.
Thanks, Doug.
We will have the meeting on in the hallway if anybody wants
Okay.
to watch up there.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Randy Moon, and I live at 34A Lakeshore Drive along with my fiance. We purchased that home in June of this year, and the reason we purchased it was because we wanted to live at the lake. And I echo Doug's comments about the service of our government officials and the difficulty in decision-making. I served in government for 35 years of my life, and I completely understand it's difficult to make decisions. I'm not exactly sure. I wasn't here last week, and I missed the online meeting. I wasn't exactly sure how this topic came to be. I was looking at the agenda for last week, and it was not readily obvious to me that this was a topic of discussion. So really, regardless of the context of the seriousness of whether it's a topic that will actually move forward or not, I would just urge the commissioners to consider the homeowners who live out there on that, I call it the north side, along Lakeshore Drive. We bought a very expensive home out there, and we pay just shy of $6,000 in property taxes. And the reason those taxes are so high in part are because of living at the lake and what the lake has to offer in terms of beauty and all the other things that come along with lake living. So I want to point out a few alternatives to you should this become a topic of something that's going to move forward in any type of consideration. This morning when I left home, I drove up by Mr. Hess's office, and there are presently 31 unused spots, recreational spots that have power, electricity, and water. Now I understand that those are used a lot through the summer, but as of today, they draw no revenue whatsoever for the county. And if there is some consideration to bringing in long-term camping, particularly through those winter months, those spots are available and should be utilized maybe first before developing any other areas that might somehow impact the residents who are already living out there at Lakeshore. The other alternatives that I would urge you to consider would be that there are two areas west of Mr. Hess's office that if there was some idea of developing a long-term camping area, that I think would be more suitable, for one, because of their nearness, their proximity to the power and the water sources that are already out there. Sure, there might need to be a little bit of dirt work done, but certainly I think, and the areas I'm referring to are the areas number one, that are occupied by a lot of RV vehicles, some of them in heavy disrepair in my view. That's probably another subject in itself about maybe some future enhancements to the lake and a specific area for those kinds of vehicles. But that is an area that could be considered. And then just a little bit west of there, just up the hills, another area. So the last, maybe the last two areas I might mention, I know one of them was just talked about briefly last week, was the Marion County Reservoir. I'm not familiar, I've not been out there, so I don't know what their camping facilities are like, but the last, and this one is a bit important, simply because in one meeting I heard the commissioners talk about when there was some discussion about trying to do something to Mr. Hess's facility and trying to enhance that, make that bait shop and store more relevant, that the commissioners were opposed to that for fear of taking business away from local businesses here in town. Well, and again, I don't know the relationship because we've not been here all that long, but there are 16 spaces at the VFW campground, of which when I drove through this morning, there was only one of those being occupied. So if those are actually spaces that are available to the public, and there may be some relationship with the VFW that may cause that to be a revenue generating opportunity for them, I think the commission should first look at those opportunities based on the history of how the commission has viewed taking away from business from the community. So that's really all I have to say. Is I just want you all to consider very closely how that impacts the residents out there. In fact, in my view, that could potentially lower property tax values, which is counterproductive to property taxes. They are in place to provide services for the county in various areas. So I would just consider you to think about that, because that's a real possibility, given the value of some of those homes out there. So in closing, thank you all for allowing me to have probably a little bit more time than you're accustomed to, but I just appreciate your consideration of this. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Sherry Conyers, and thank you all for listening to me before, because I have called all of you, and I'll make what I have to say very short. My husband and I also moved to the lake just because of the recreational and environmental aspects of it, of which we totally love, and we would totally be against having any kind of permanent camping across the road from us. Thanks.
Thank you. I've been looking online. I don't think I see anybody wanting public comment. But is there any others?
My name's Vicki Hofer, and we moved to the lake in 1985 because we had camped up there every weekend and just fell in love with it. And as my neighbors said, you know, for the very same reason, it's a beautiful place. It, you know, it's quiet, peaceful, the wildlife, and it would be very disruptive to have long-term camping across, you know, very immediately across from those homes. There's also a safety issue that is a little concerning. It's not, you know, this wouldn't be families that are camping over there just for the weekend to have a nice time. You've got people in there that you don't know who they would be, and nothing against, you know, people that would travel. My husband used to travel like that, work on the road. But you don't know who you're dealing with there. And, you know, who's going to police that more? That would be hiring maybe another sheriff or whatever. But I just reiterate everything that my neighbors have said, that to please consider another area than right across the street from residents. And I thank you for your time and also for what you do.
Thank you. Anybody else that speak about this issue or others, or? Okay.
I appreciate you guys coming in. I've had the privilege to be a commissioner for quite a while, but in my first term, there was a school teacher right here out of Marion that was riding his bicycle out there around the lake, and he stopped and talked to me. I knew him from playing softball against him and with him and stuff. So, but his concern at that time, and I've sort of taken this to be one of my values, is that inside Lakeshore Drive is a area that should be looked at no matter what happens. Whether there's campgrounds go in, whatever. He said, preserve it. His thoughts was preserve it. Make sure that you make a great decision before you ever allow anything inside that circle inside Lakeshore Drive. Well, through the time sitting here, it has come up about the southeast corner down there, where the open ground is and stuff like that. So even though this wasn't the way we'd like to approach something, because it was mentioned a week ago sitting in that chair over there to us, I didn't know nothing about it, and I think there's some other commissioners that didn't know nothing about it either at that time. But it does enlighten us to know that the improvement district may have to make some improvements to their system. If they do make that improvement, I would hope that they would come to the commission and say, we've heard that maybe there's some development, maybe you to get utilities over that way, clear around on the southeast corner, it may have to come around the east end all the way around the lake and that way. So it could be a good thing that we could do some planning for something like that. But as of right now, this is a pie in the sky. It's got to go through the improvement district board before they would put a pumping station in for sewer to help them get rid of all the east side. So it's something that the commission will be aware of. And as far as I'm concerned, thank you for coming in and letting us know how you feel. Because I think I pointed to this guy right here and said, you know, you might have to deal with someone pretty special to you out there. So I was talking about this lady here. So anyway, thank you for coming in. That's all I got to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I've lived out there, this is Dave Crowfoot. I've lived out there for 27 years. I know, you know, how everybody's feeling. I think the biggest thing was the newspaper. I wish Phyllis was in here.
That's pretty rare.
But the newspaper got two articles mixed up. They co-mingled all the information. And I don't feel they did a good job of reporting what caused all this lack of information. And I'm glad to see that the public is paying attention to what we're doing. I mean, it makes me feel good that somebody does care and appreciate everybody coming here, but like I told most of, I don't think, we weren't talking about putting in utilities at the low water bridge. We were talking about but the lake office. And it's just was somebody else floating an idea out there, which we get those every week. Somebody comes in with something that we ought to do. And it was just misreported in the paper, I think, was the biggest thing. So.
Could I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of, oh, I have to go.
Yeah. Otherwise, the people on the virtual side can't hear you.
I'm okay with that. I guess, I mean, obviously, I echo everything that has been said, and we do appreciate you guys. I guess my question would be, have people come to you and said, we want more RV hookups, we need more RV hookups, this is gonna bring in all kinds of revenue? Because honestly, I think, in my opinion, and being out there, and I've only lived out there for about 2.5 years, but I grew up in Marion. We went to the lake like every day during the summer. My brothers and I rode our bicycles out there the back way of the road, or the back road to the lake. But you know, the lake is just awesome the way it is. That's why people come there. It is a great family place. It's a great place for reunions and just kids. I mean, we see kids out there. They're able to come out there without tons of supervision because of what the lake is. I think to start putting all these hookups in, no matter where they're at, really, I just think the lake, and I'm not opposed to change, so please don't misunderstand me, but sometimes it's not needed. And I think if we want to look at ways to enhance the lake, I say we start with the lake hall to where it's a more, not beautiful, but just a much more updated, modernized place for people to come. Because you know, there are tons of reunions and family gatherings, and you know, the little thing that was out there this weekend, the country Christmas. I mean, it's a utilized building. So I think if we want to beautify or enhance things, maybe that's a good place to start instead of putting in all these hookups. And you know, there seem to be sufficient number of them right now. But so anyway, we love the lake and we love what it is, and that it's a great place for people and families to come. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming in. We have one more here from Bonnie Vinduska. It says long-term camping at the low water bridge is a bad idea, opposed. So there's other voices out there that even though they might not be in the room. And like I said, I echo what Randy said. It's all developed from basically a public comment that was throwing some stuff at the wall to see if it would stick. And it's basically consider this or think of this, and now we have.
Didn't stick.
Didn't
stick very good. So, if there's any other comments,
Yeah, thank you.
go ahead and take them. Okay. No other comments? Go ahead and close public comments.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.
Have a good day.
It's very nice to see the interest in what we're doing. It's been a while.
We love our lake.
Yeah.
That is one special place out there.
We'd like to see it in not a shouting match.
Yeah.
Good comments, and that's what we have.
Yeah. Yeah, no shouting, no shouting.
This is very good.
Thank you.
Make sure you know where it's going before I go. All right.
Illegal now.
Yeah.
So I would suggest that maybe a good way to handle that in the future would be to have them wait in the hallway, and then if they have a comment, have them come in one at a time. So I know that was a little unexpected, but that might be a good solution.
Yeah.
Now, if we have a county lake issue expected.
Well, maybe we gotta have a meeting out at the lake hall if we got the county lake issue. That filled the room. Okay, let's go on to administrative business.
Okay. In your packets, you have the sales tax, which we did not have available on payday. And that total is $59,337.08. There was,
That's down a bit, but still up on the year. Is that the way I'm taking that?
Yes.
Okay.
You had just some basic information about some firm maps that are being done. I have forwarded that also to the Planning and Zoning Department. In your packet, you had the report from Cobb Valley Engineering on the, basically the punch list. Mhm. And then their most recent invoice, just for your information. We had received a letter from the city of Salina, so that's regarding what they've done with their local health order, and so that's in there for your information. Monthly revenue reports. Oops. And then I do have the minutes of November 30th, and I had received an email this morning from Commissioner Novak that the way I had worded the comment, her comment at the end was, she asked for a correction to it. And if you look at the last page, or the second page, where what I initially wrote was Commissioner Novak requested information to be provided to the board regarding the model number, software and operating procedures. And her email was that she would like a correction because she did not request that on behalf of the board, only as herself. And so,
Oh, okay. You didn't get the message?
I
Oh.
have a potential revision that I did right before the meeting that just says, Commissioner Novak requested information regarding the model number, software, and operating procedures for Bow County. So I took out to be provided to the board. So I guess I misunderstood that. I thought she was saying that the board should be more aware of what we have, and so.
Uh-huh. You told me.
So I did make that correction.
Yeah. I would go ahead and make a motion to approve the minutes of November 30th.
Yes.
With corrections noted.
Second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Well, you know, it,
4-0.
they made it sound so, you know, big and strong and everything else, but, and it was, I don't know how it's from, but it's just, quality. I mean, those shins and turntables, whatever else, I guess he only has 3 of them, where Dad's got 6. And so he broke a bunch of stuff in there, plus, I think the oil rebroke like 40 pounds in the last 2 years.
Okay, we do have, some regular early checks, and then we have some Spark reimbursements, for tomorrow. So we have early checks dated today, Spark reimbursement dated tomorrow, and all of that information was in your packet.
Early check, 95,000.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody got any questions on the warrants or anything for the early checks? If not, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve early checks in the amount of $95,950.25.
Second.
Got a second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
But anyway, I just thought I would pass that.
Okay. Do you want to do the other action as well, and then just sign everything together?
Yeah. My ink is getting low.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, and here's the one, whoops, for the Spark.
reimbursement.
And that total is 258, 374.76.
So anyway, I just
Got any questions with the reimbursements? Still all following the plan, correct?
Correct.
And may look like some of the dollars won't all be used up.
I can give you a little bit of an update. All the schools will use all their money, their allocated money. Our office reached out to every city in the county over the last week, toward the end of last week, and a couple of cities said they are not going to be using it, but several of them were potentially not 100% aware of what they could use it for, and they will be turning in their receipts. So we believe that several of the cities will go ahead and complete projects that will be done in time to turn their receipts in. So we believe that a lot of the cities will use their funds.
Check burners are working overtime.
What's
The
that?
check burners are working
Yeah.
overtime.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I think a couple of cities are utilizing the funds to help them with their transition to remote meetings, because we have some cities that are meeting remotely right now with no equipment, and it's very challenging, and so they're utilizing some of those funds to assist them with more appropriate remote meetings, and then also work from home capabilities for some of their staff, because they have had effect of the virus.
Thank you for doing that, Tina, because I felt that even when I voted no a few weeks ago, that our small towns was not either aware, not being able to have the time to come see what all it could be spent for and stuff like that, and I thank you for reaching out to them.
Yeah, we went ahead and followed up, and then also the Spark admin assistant followed up again with them as well, so.
Okay. And then, is there gonna be some dollars left back so we can handle the overage from the, oh no, Scott Lloyd?
Yes, we do have. I think there is one grant that is not going to be used, which was awarded to the Ministerial Alliance. And so that by itself is enough funds to take care of the extra administrative cost. And we'll be looking at the county's potential expenses for what we have left of ours and what maybe has not been. I think if there is any money left over, we're going to be reviewing it. The Spark Committee's going to look at it. They're going to work really hard to try to make sure that nothing is sent back. So I do know that we are going to be working on figuring up on the payroll that we've submitted for reimbursement. I'm going to be figuring those benefits as well, because benefits are also eligible, and we have not submitted benefit costs, which are expensive. And then We are gonna look at the health department salaries. Remember, we tabled that a while back because we weren't sure what those amounts were, so we're gonna be figuring those specific amounts that can be transferred. And we also can receive reimbursement for emergency management salary and benefits for the months in question for a percentage of that, so we're gonna be submitting that. I'm going to attempt to submit postage for elections because it was astronomical and it was not budgeted, and because so many people chose to vote by mail. And so those are expenses that we're having to work a little bit harder to get the documentation together, but those are expenses that could certainly be submitted for reimbursement. So we'll be working hard on that the next couple of days. Committee will meet again, and we're gonna look at, they are gonna look at where we are with what may be left. So
A lot to do in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah.
The Sparks Committee that's worked so hard doing this, are they gonna be meeting probably a couple times or so?
I'm sure they will, yes.
Is there something the commission can do to just say, besides saying thank you to them for doing what they've done, is there something that we could possibly do to, as for the meeting, maybe provide a snack tray for the next few meetings or whatever?
Well, most of the meetings they're doing virtually right now.
Oh, they're doing virtually,
They're not getting
okay.
together.
Okay.
Commissioner Dalkey, would you move your microphone from behind your computer?
Okay.
And scooch it, yeah, you could scoot the microphone over,
Yeah.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
to turn, she had to turn
I
that
turned this
Oh,
one around
okay.
to try to grab you.
Well, maybe at some point down the road, when things start becoming a little more normalized, we could do a luncheon for them or something.
Something,
Just show appreciation.
They have definitely put in a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that all the members should be recognized publicly to the county. I mean, because probably 90% of people that got the money don't know why they got it or who they got it from, who's responsible. And it's, whether it's 6 people?
Our committee is 7.
Seven with the
7
administrator.
people, yeah. So I'm not even sure.
And somebody that tried to help from having too much time spent has been in it too.
Well, when it comes down to paying everything out and
Yeah.
tracking that, there's no way I cannot be involved.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so anyway, just thought that I maybe should give you that little bit of an update.
No, thank you.
And,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's good for everybody to know. All right, with that, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the reimbursements of $258,374.76.
Second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
okay, so there are 2 sheets to sign. There's one on the top here and one directly behind the green dividing paper.
Okay.
Two places.
In your packet, I put the shortened quarantine information. I think Deidre may talk about that during her scheduled time, so I'm gonna just skip over that. Let's see. Did I give you the KDHE application? Oh, no, I didn't,
No,
because,
so.
I didn't, because it was protected and it wouldn't let me include it in the packet. So, what I wanted to mention was, when Randy Perdue was here the last time, he said that he had submitted an application for us to receive reimbursement from KDHE due to the soil contamination. Well, we received the letters from KDHE, basically saying we could apply. So I don't, the application is, he provided it, it was mostly complete, but I had to fill in some information, and then it needs approval from the board to submit the application, and then to authorize the chairman to sign. So, and this is for us to potentially receive some help from KDHE for those expenses related to the soil contamination at the transfer station.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to apply for the KDHE funds for the soil contamination, and to also allow for a chairman to sign the application.
I would second that. A motion by Kent, second by Randy. Anybody else want to see this first? Pass it around.
Is that all the longer application it is?
Oh, there's a lot of check marks.
He'll send some reports
Okay.
along with it, and then
Yeah.
I've got to send just a
Okay.
financial document with it, so.
That's surprising. 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah, I think there's quite a bit of documentation he's gonna send along with it.
Okay.
Is there any other discussion on it? If not, all those approve?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay, 4-0.
Now, come back to you to sign. Am I doing better?
Thank you. Sorry.
We're teaching old dog new
Uh,
tricks.
I didn't mean to do that.
I know. Okay, thank you. We do have a cereal malt beverage license for the Last Chance Beat. There was no township opposition to that when we just sent that township notice, and so we just need official action to approve that.
Make a motion to approve the cereal malt beverage for Last Chance Bait.
I'll second
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Let's see.
Over here, we got this here.
Yeah, sign on this side of that line. Kind of a different bird, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I got a little gun shy after I saw the wrong place along, so. Still gotta cross out the 19 too.
Yeah, we should just do our own forms of that probably. Okay, we have a couple of things on the community development block grant. So as you know, we were looking like we wouldn't make our deadline of dispersing half the funds, and so you have done a second round of funding for the businesses previously approved, and so we will make our deadline. I do need a couple of actions today. We have one business, which is CK Pharmacy. Initially, their first grant was only was under $4,000. And so they actually, on their second round, have additional, they have over 5,000. And since they didn't initially use the first full 5,000, I'm asking for an approval for the additional amount on their second round in the total of $5,458.16.
I'll go ahead and make that
Who
motion.
was it?
That's for
CK Pharmacy.
CK Pharmacy in Peabody.
Is there no reason to allow them up to the 10?
Well, just because the initial time that you approve them, you only approve them for the amount they applied for, which was 34 or 30, whatever it was, 3,600. So there shouldn't be a reason.
I will abstain from this vote because I have family in that. That works for this CK Pharmacy.
Okay. I'll go. No, okay. That's
But they
fine.
will not exceed their 10,000. It's just that the previous action taken, you didn't actually allow them the first 5,000. Okay.
I just didn't know if we needed to just up it to the 5 and then give them the second round of the 5, and then that way they're not coming back again.
That would be appropriate.
So to go ahead and take it to the 5 previous and then the additional 5 allowance. And make that motion.
Second.
Okay, second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Aye. Almost
Okay.
adopted.
Thank you. And then on the, we had applied for 35,000 for food programs, but there has been no official action of the board to approve the Peabody Food Bank to receive the grant in the amount up to 35,000. And so I need an official action to approve that.
Make a motion to approve the Peabody Food Bank.
Second.
35,000. Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 4-0.
Okay.
Have
And
to
just
catch
in,
myself.
and just
Want to
in,
say 5-0 because I don't hear an A.
just on an update on that, we've already received receipts from the Peabody Food Bank, over 5,000, and they'll have more for the end of the year. So I don't know that they'll use the entire 35,000, but at least now it's approved, and we'll see how much we can get done. Okay. Thank you for that. Oh, and then I have these are just the same forms that the chairman's been signing for all the businesses for round 1. The same thing again for round 2, which is the determination of level of review. And this is just administrative paperwork along with those community development block grant funds that have to be signed by the chairman.
Make a motion to allow the chairman to sign again for round 2.
I'll second it.
Motion by Randy, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. 4-0. 7 of them.
I didn't count.
I'm just trying to keep track in my head of how many we had approved. Did it again. White out. They're on the wrong line.
No, you didn't.
So-
Oh, yeah, you did. You're
Got in a
okay.
hurry.
It's all right.
We all do that.
Yeah.
Well, the way they have this, there's a weird space. You just want to sign it again on this side, or do you want me to reprint it? What would you like me to do?
Those rules, it's your department, can you tell me?
And just sign over here too.
Here, I don't keep track of the records, so.
If I was making those forms, there wouldn't be that space.
It's already printed, it just,
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like a normal letter would normally sign.
Exactly.
Um,
One of these days, I should get some of those print here, or sign here, stickies.
Just slow down. Oh, it pushes on my eyeballs.
Okay, and that's on how I'll administer it.
salary sheets today?
I didn't see any.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. I think I've seen Bryce sitting out in the hall. Let's go ahead and move on to Road and Bridge. Bryce?
I got the notice. Good morning. First thing this morning, we have transport fuel bids. Based on the numbers, F was read low. So I would like to have that approved.
The recommendation is for EPS. I'll take Bryce's recommendation and turn that to a motion to approve.
No bid by MFA, that's all they said, there's no bid, so.
So, EPS total is $13,917. Second.
Second.
Second by Kent. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Finally heard back from KDOT on all the Nighthawk plans and everything else. We're ready to go. Based on commission approval, I'm thinking about making the bid letting January 4th at the meeting with approval on January 11th or whatever that, I guess maybe that would that be holiday? Whatever the next meeting is. So,
January 4th will be a Monday.
yeah.
On the 11th.
Oh, it's the following, okay.
Yeah, 18.
So we'd be okay for the 11th, if that's okay with you, I'll put that in the.
So you're talking about bid opening on the?
Yes, on the 4th,
On the 4th.
yep. Probably 10 a.m. again, like, or thereabouts.
Is that sufficient time? Time project?
Well, it's almost a month. I mean, that's about what KDOT offers. And I've already contacted the 4 people that kind of do that business anyway, so.
Most bidders, as long as they got 2 weeks or better,
Yeah.
they'll look at it. If they
Yeah.
don't, they'll probably drop out.
Yeah, I mean, we can go longer if you
No,
want.
I just asked him, Bryce, make
Yeah.
sure it's amount of time.
I think that typically the way it's always been at least 2 weeks that you have to post it in the paper, being the official notice, but I'm gonna send this out obviously to more people than that, so. But,
When we looking as far as schedule, I mean,
So you wanna go ahead and do it on the 4th, or you wanna bump it to the 11th?
be the opening on one day and then the selection on another.
Right.
Right?
yeah.
So,
tell me
yeah.
those.
Do we want to do it on the 11th and then review on the 19th?
I just, Christmas holidays is right here, but that's,
Not a problem, let's just go up to
Take
11th
a
and
week and a half out of there
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah,
So go 11th
Probably
and the
better.
19th.
11th and 19th, okay.
Does that sound good to everybody?
yeah.
Okay.
Then we just do, okay.
No?
No, it's fine, I was just looking at the time.
Well, the opening has to be at a certain time, right? The review.
That's what we set up, it's any time from that time later, but
Can we do that at 10:30?
whatever you wanna do.
Okay. 10:30 on the 11th would be the bid opening. So, don't we have an engineer on that?
Right there.
Usually, okay, so we don't have a contracted engineer on that project? Okay.
Nope.
I'll put 10:30 on both dates.
Okay. So we give you ample time to make sure everything hits spec.
Do what?
We give you
Oh,
ample
yeah.
time to make sure
Yeah.
everything hits spec.
Yeah, no problem.
Look, Bryce, that project, I just drove it here again this last week. You got the trees,
Hmm?
and on all the roads, it's,
We're going to fix those when we put in the pipes. While we're going down the road fixing the pipes, we'll get rid of the trees.
Okay.
Any drainage problems.
Yeah, well, right, and stuff, and I just, out there west of Peabody's side.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's sort of right up by the side of the road, and I don't know how our equipment's gonna be.
Well, that's, yeah, I mean, we're gonna fix the pipes, fix it, or get rid of trees, any drainage problems. We're just gonna, once we close the road, we can just do that, or put in the pipes.
Okay.
So, yep. I know there's a couple of areas on Nighthawk that have trees growing out of them too, so, yep.
Okay.
We're working on that also. So, I was notified that, there was a motor grader coming in off of lease. It's a CAT 2012 12M2. Only has 2,100 hours. It's a township trade-in for an 8-year-old machine. That's incredible. CAD has it listed for $146,000. I have checked with John Deere. They have, I say, comparable machines depending on, you know, doing some more research on it, I guess, of that. But I guess I would like to just make my opinion that it would be nice to kind of stick with CAT based on the service, a lot of the filters, you know, transport back and forth. If we go to John Deere, we're gonna have to start a whole nother thing up there. Tom has all the software and everything else to work on. I think we could probably go back and forth several different times. The other thing that's good about the CAT is the guys are used to running the CATs with their controls compared to going to a John Deere. That's going to be different. There really is no other supplier, vendor in the market anymore. I mean, say Komatsu does have a motor grader, but I think they just started in 2019. We very seldom see good machines come through CAT, and I think that's mainly because people are keeping them and, you know, using them. Where it seems like John Deere always has it, and maybe they're just, I don't know, out selling them, and there's so many on the market, I don't know. But the other thing about this one, I did not talk with John Deere, but CAT said that we could actually wait, do a purchase agreement after the first of the year. Yeah, I mean, well, I say make it effective. We could just sign, say yes, we'll take it, and then we could still put it on the, you know, lease, whatever that is, lease purchase. I'll have the last payment on the dump truck and motor grader next year, and so those will fall off. So if we wanted to, we could actually move it off, make the next payment the following year, or whatever else for that. But with the money I got back from Purple Wave, and we've got another 120 motor grader, I think we're gonna send a Purple Wave. We've got some transmission issues, and we don't know for sure what it's gonna cost. Maybe that'd be a thing to do, is just to get rid of it, not knowing what it's gonna take to fix it. So anyway, I just get your thoughts on this. You want me to go back and do some more research on the deer, whatever you want to do. It's very, very difficult to throw deer and cat together, I should, in comparison, because they have, you look online, all the different data they have, it's crazy. Everyone specializes in something else compared to the other one. But, you know, they both do the job. But like I said, I think based on the fact is of our fleet now being majority cats with the 3 Volvos, and the guys experience whatever else in the cat, that would be something I'd want to go to. But
Is there any kind of warranty with this?
I don't know. One thing about it though, with a 8-year-old machine with only 2,000 hours, I mean, it's hardly been broke in.
You said it's 2008?
It's 2012.
12,
with,
8 years
with
old. Okay.
Yes, with 2,100 hours.
8 years old, I heard.
Yes.
How many hours do I normally get out of one?
Well, we've got some up in 15,000 hour range. So, and that's the old H's. They're performing well, but you know, that's you never know. I mean, some of them perform real well, but for the most part, you know, up to 15,000 hours, and some of those are even before an overhaul. I mean, if you do an overhaul, then you could go essentially the frames, other than replacing bushings or pins or whatever else. But
had on the list when I started some 18 and 20,000 hour machines,
Yeah.
Ken, when I first started.
Yeah.
So what's gonna be with the issue down the line with these Volvos? We've been talking about that for a couple of years, that we're gonna get parts for them.
Well, that's the same thing. And actually now we're still, we get parts in sometimes several weeks, but yeah, we'd like to get rid of those too down the road. So, because, and what we're finding out is on the face, they're still a motor grader, but we're finding out that, they weren't built as heavy as maybe the other ones were. And we didn't find this out till after we're using them down the road, things wearing out faster. And, for instance, on the turntable, they have pads that go around there. Caterpillar has 6 pads, the Volvos only have 3. Well, other than using it and wearing those out, you would never know that. So we've had to go back and replace them now, and most of those blades are only in the $5,000 to $6,000 range. So, but
Probably, they're not offering a financing product, but we went to our small banks or went to all of our county banks.
well, that's what
And
we
did
said.
lease.
Yeah, you said you wanted to do that and pass it to the county bank, so we could work out that financing then also. But
Interest is cheap now.
yeah.
There's lots of money to loan.
Yeah.
And we usually go for 3 or 4 years on something like that.
Well, even something like that, I'm sure, I mean, to say that kind of a machine to be 8 years old, but they really don't depreciate per se. This is low miles. They may even look at 5 if you wanted to, but.
So are we on some kind of schedule then to say, we need to buy this one?
Well, we were
10 months from now, we need to buy this one, and then.
Right now, no, but that's what we're working on. We were gonna start after the first year.
I think with machines like that, you're gonna need to be on some type of rotation, or you're gonna, at some point in time, you're gonna get caught.
Yeah, well, that's what we look at, but then you got to determine out how many we in place a year, and obviously lease, purchase them or lease them. I have talked with every county around. There's anywhere from buying them directly to lease purchase to just leasing them for so many years, and then they take care of all the maintenance. And when your time's up, they bring you a new machine and you start over. So there's so many things that we can consider there. It's going to take a lot of information to compare the two. I say that the two between the Cat and the John Deere. Like I said, Komatsu. I'd be real leery of those machines because I think they just started coming out in 2019. So I'll be always worried about the new model, just like you do a new car. So there's not a lot of industry backing there, but like I said, this come up, I can find out more information, or if you want to do that. Like I said, it's with that kind of machine, it's looks to me like a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
So
I agree with Ken. You're going to be on revolving, but there's also the surprise. You gotta plan on a grader, but a truck dies on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always got to be revolving, but it doesn't always mean it's got to be that piece of equipment.
sure.
We have not purchased a new grader since you've been here, have we?
Correct. Well, the latest one was purchased was the all-wheel drive, and that was a 2013? The 120 all-wheel drive.
But it was used.
Yes, yes. And I think before that, the last ones probably would have been the Volvos.
Yeah, that's
So-
last bunch, and that's been
Yeah.
2 years. No, not 10. No, hadn't been that long. 6.
Yeah,
6,
somewhere around there.
5, 6.
Because I think they were 2013s, 2014s, or 2014s and 2015s.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
So,
I think they're 2014s.
well,
2014.
yeah.
6 years ago. It's definitely time for what you guys said, rotating schedule. And if you got 12 machines or 14 machines, and we've heard people wanting more sections out here, but 12 machines, if you put them on rotating one a year,
That's one every 12 years.
I mean, that's what you get.
Yeah.
So,
I think you gotta be close to 1 a year.
yeah.
And now we're probably behind the curve right
That's-
now.
yeah.
By quite a bit.
Well, like I said, the thing is that's gonna hurt, you wanna get rid of the Volvos, is gonna be the resale value. They're still reasonable now, especially if we went to Purple Wave. I mean, they're pulling good money as long as they're in decent condition. The problem is we get is when we lose something major, electronic or whatever else. that's gonna be the big thing, but, you know, so.
Would you like to see that machine before you say yes?
What's that?
Would you like to see that machine, would you like to see that machine before you say yes?
Honestly, the way they stand behind things and the quality, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. It's ran by a township, they obviously are getting rid of it because they don't wanna pay for it, and, they're not using it enough to justify it. And that sounds to me, so. But I mean, yeah, I mean, if we could get pictures, whatever else is currently in the shop up there, they're going through that just to check everything out, so.
I would make a motion to authorize you to go ahead and do this and put it on whatever the board decides for payment, whether he presents us some way to pay for it between now and pickup time, or whether we put it out in small banks for that.
I wish we could come to a consensus among the commission that on these high dollar pieces of equipment, instead of sitting here saying, well, we need to pay for this one, this one we need to put on lease payment, and this one we need to lease. Why don't we just, to me, let's just do lease purchases on all of them. That way we're not tying up, you know, we've argued about, oh, we can pay cash this time. Well, we a little tight this time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and again, I don't have a problem, I mean, it's totally understandable, like you said, it's easier to budget that way.
I would change that motion then, that I would make the motion to purchase this on a lease purchase payment and go ahead with this purchase. That's my motion.
I'd like to just amend that we commit to this one. So I don't want to start a lease purchase if we don't have to until next year.
Okay.
Correct?
Right.
He said that's fine with him, we
That's-
just,
That's typically what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, any action you take to purchase something actually we have to have money in the budget
Yeah.
to purchase it, even if you're gonna lease purchase.
Okay.
Set
Well, then
budget law says.
I'll second Randy's motion.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that we weren't signing up to spend money this year.
yeah,
Yeah, but the first payment would be
Right.
next year.
yep.
So, okay, you're.
Motion to purchase this
Sorry.
John Deere 12, what?
No.
It's
No,
Cat.
it's a Caterpillar.
Or Caterpillar.
Caterpillar 12 M3.
12 in, yeah.
Excuse me, M2.
For 146,000
Yes,
and change,
no, just 146.
146 even,
Yep.
and put it on a lease purchase.
And I will still second.
It's an M2. And the other good thing about this is it doesn't require DEF.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
When we're out remote, that DEF can be a
I knew
real issue.
12, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Involved in it.
yeah.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay,
Sorry, I just needed to tidy that one up.
yeah.
Okay,
that's-
and so we'll send that out to the local banks
Yes.
for bids.
I'll
Okay.
get some paper things for it too. So. Okay, also have some more good news. I was informed Friday that the Goldenrod Bridge that we turned in for the local bridge improvement program was also approved for federal funding. So now we have 4 projects out there that have state and or federal funding. So they, these are nice because they actually pay 90%. And design and things like that are also included after you go to contract. They'll actually reimburse you for that too. So this is on Goldenrod between 160th and 170th. And then the other bridge that we got approved on was Falcon up at 230th. And so we've got those as well as our cost share and the high-risk rural roads out here on 190th and Nighthawk. So we've got all those. So I think it's a really good thing that we're getting these projects approved, because obviously that's money that we don't have to spend that is nice. So, and the other thing, and obviously the big issue with KDOT, they tell you up front, it basically comes down to, yeah, they've got these funded, but the first ones to get in the pike is the ones that are definitely assured of the money. It may get pushed off to the next year if you don't. So I guess with commission approval, I'd like to go back out and request consultants to do those. There's not going to be an awful lot. It's going to be very similar to what we've done in the past. But the sooner we get these in there, the sooner we get them rolling. One of the things that I'm kind of looking at is possibly looking at basically it's a low-cost bridge alternative, is to go with basically like the I can't think of the name, the steel bridges we put out there with just metal on them.
Oh,
What am I trying to say?
from Hillsborough.
Yeah,
Cross?
Yes.
Who? Kraus?
Yeah.
Cross Bridge,
Yeah,
yes. And-
similar
and
similar
Kraus.
to that, but they're actually designed by a company. They're this Husker Steel that comes down and visits with us, and so that's something I would actually like to look at because it's definitely a less expensive alternative than the concrete bridges. And this one here, I think, would suit very well to that because all we need to do, we need to raise it up and increase the span. And by putting concrete back in there, we'd have to probably put some columns down in the river. And with all the debris on the Cottonwood, I think this would be an definite place to
open it
look
up.
at. Yep. So anyway, that's something I look at. But like I said, that would be the biggest thing is I have to go out according to KDOT, the federal government. We have to go out through the qualification-based system like we have in the past and send this out. Anybody that wants to submit their qualifications to this to get selected. So,
For engineering.
yes, yes. And like I said, this local bridge improvement program actually includes design and right-of-way and utilities after you go to contract too. So we can actually get reimbursed for that too, or at least part of that amount.
So these bridges, they're pre-span, pre-engineered?
Well, they're not pre-engineered. Well, I say they're engineered. They build the abutments. They're out of pile and everything else. But basically, a steel girder would allow you to span the whole thing. And so, I mean, they're designed by a professional engineer and everything else. So, I mean, there's no liability there. One good thing about a bridge like this, in particular this one here, it's a big truss bridge. It's also fracture critical. That we'll get rid of that too. But with those big trusses going on top of it, anything wider than 16 foot, they can't get across there. Well, this new one, you don't have to have the concrete rails, whatever else. You just have metal rails, so you can widen it whatever you need to, and then you don't have to have anything hitting in the outside. So, but
they still have to have an engineer on the project.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
even if it's pre-engineered.
yeah.
What's the tonnage rating on those types?
Whatever we design, let's put it that way, because on like any other kind of concrete slab or a beam, whatever else, if you want to design for heavier loads, you go with bigger beams, you put them closer together, whatever that case is. I'm sure they would be designed for legal limits, just simply because of like your tractor trailers and stuff like that driving across there for agricultural purposes. So they're not minimum maintenance by any means. They're a structural bridge.
Okay.
So,
as far as implements getting across?
oh yeah. They the biggest weight thing that you'll face would be the tractor trailer with 5 axles to put that weight across there. But the tractors and combines and stuff like that, width-wise, we'd probably go in the 28 range, so it wouldn't affect anything
Okay.
in that range. So it all depends on what we specify we want, but that's what.
Just some things are getting bigger all the time.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're-
And I face that all over. Like I said, that's why this one here, if they go from place to place, it's even hard to get tractors with dualies and stuff across their big combines, especially. So, but anyway, like I said, unless you guys don't have any, I'd love to turn around and try to get started on these, but I just don't see it getting turned around that quick to get those going. So, and like I said, it's nice with this local bridge improvement, they'll actually include that in that 90%. So,
Well, I would, as long as it's thought out, and I believe it is.
Yeah.
So I'm in favor of it. Guess go ahead and make a motion to get.
basically, it's called quality-based selection, QBS is the process.
So moved.
Are you talking for both projects? or-
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
I would
Okay.
second.
Second by Randy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The other good thing about it is now that I'm a certified inspector and stuff like that, we won't have any inspection costs afterwards, or very little. They have to do some testing, stuff like that. So that's going to save a significant amount of money too, because that's where the consultants, when they come back in for construction engineering, that's a lot of money too. So, but that would help. So, Lydia, a little update. We've completed the rebuilds on Falcon, Chisholm, Diamond. Currently today, started down on 90th and Chisholm. Working north down there. Hopefully we can get everything done before the possibility of rain. Installed 2 new culverts down there, got them going. Hauling rock all over the place. The culvert guy, or most of the blade men have been working to eliminate windrows or move them to the south sides of the roads on the east side of the road so that we don't have catching snow, stuff like that. We've been mowing the tall grass around there too, so definitely keeping busy as far as that goes. So we have plans to continue on Chisholm, both north and south. This area here that we're working on has most of the houses in that area, but working on that. The problem is we're already in the kind of early mid-December. I don't know if we can, we made this plan last week, assuming this whole week was gonna be good. Well, now they've possibly come up with moisture Thursday. So we get in such a problem when we get to winter time and get moisture, it just takes forever. But we're hitting it hard with a lot of equipment, a lot of supporting stuff, so.
Are you pulling shoulders on this?
Yes, and actually this one here is not a big rebuild. The ditches for the most part are okay. It's just bringing up stuff and putting the crown back in. There's much of anything, so.
And so between 90th and 100th, you're looking to go to 120th? Between the, or
Well,
yeah,
actually we'd like to go from 70th to 120th.
70th one.
Yeah,
Okay.
but again, most of that's probably gonna wait till next spring, because the other problem we face is when the weather turns cold like this and it gets really, really froze at night, we spend so much time getting everything broke back up to go to work. So it finally begins, behooves you to just say, wait till next year. But we like to do whatever we can. But also doing some basically road work, 160th to 170th on Eagle. Got some access issues into fields through there. I would like to compliment with all 4 landowners. We met at the half-mile line, and they said, you do what you need to make it work. So we're actually going into some of their fields and stuff like that because they want to get things fixed so they can actually get equipment down there. So again, it's fantastic to work with people like that want to try to make things good. So
I've started to hear a lot of good things, Bryce, so good job. There was some concerns about how the roads were getting rebuilt and this and that, and I said, just let the elements come.
Yeah.
And then tell me whether it worked or not.
Well, and unfortunately, it's a double-edged sword when you go in and rework a road. Obviously, you deal with inconvenience of the public. And the road is it takes a little while to get it mellowed down, settled down, but after a couple months, into 6 months, it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah. But it just takes a little while to get to there. So.
Everybody I've heard that they're just happy to be inconvenienced.
Happy to be inconvenienced.
Yeah, they're happy. They're happy something's getting done. They're glad to be inconvenienced.
Yeah, I wish we had more resources to get out there and do that, but it takes so much to try to get those roads.
How many retirements do we have coming up?
We have one in our shop that's going to be right before Christmas, and a motor grader that is blade man that's going to be at the end of the year. Fortunately, we've already got his replacement up and started, so that's good there. So we've actually, as far as the shop, we've actually contacted the technical colleges to see if they'd have anybody available. They said they wouldn't have anybody available till probably March or into next year because that's the way their cycle works or something. But anyway, so we've been looking for that, and obviously have applications open all the time.
Are we gonna have enough truck drivers to get?
What's that?
Are we gonna have enough truck drivers to get this stuff hauled in this winter?
Well, they typically on these rebuilds, we go out to contract simply because we get so much more material hauled faster, more trucks, bigger trucks. We've got people that we can pull out equipment to put in trucks, like to cover snow plows and stuff like that. So I say we rob Peter to pay Paul, but we don't have an awful lot of people.
I think,
doors for that.
To me, the next big issue we need to look at, we don't have, why buy trucks?
With no drivers?
Well, I mean, I know you're gonna have to have a few, but it's gotten to the point where over half our hauling is contract.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna come to the point where we're gonna contract 90% of it, not 50%.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing too is, I've had several people ask me, why don't you buy tractors and belly dumps or end dumps, whatever else.
Have somebody to drive them.
You got to have somebody to drive them, and some of our areas are not very conducive to get those in and around our areas, around the corners, stuff like that. So, the behooves is if we can get by with what we have and still contract some else.
I mean, long term, is it gonna be cost effective to keep buying trucks?
Well, we're going to have the trucks, and essentially just to put take care of the roads especially when snow, But I mean that's and KDOT faces the same thing. They have their trucks out there. hypothetically are staffed 2 people per truck so they can run 24 hours a day. They've got to rob from construction and everything else just to try to find people too. You know, it's just the way the market is, and you know, with all this COVID and stuff like that, we have more people on unemployment that, well, I can't go to work for that, considering, you know, it's one of those things. But I'm sure every business person around faces that. You know, farmers the same way, trying to find hired hands. You know, they, let alone get them hired, whether they want to stay and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely concerning. I mean, I've been pushing the guys that I think one of the best things that we can do for help is the word of mouth. And I think we've got some really, really good people come in that have came that way. So, because the advertising doesn't seem to be really pulling people in. So anyway, anything else? No? Okay.
Thank you, Bryce.
All right, thanks.
All right. I haven't been watching, but I see D on there, but I don't know if it's Deidre.
Deidre's on.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, Deidre.
As of 8 o'clock, we have 335 confirmed, which is up 25 from last week, 153 probable, up 15, 43 active, 3 hospitalizations, and 3 vital statistics verified deaths. And that was reported last week also. From 11:15 to 11:28, our 14-day rolling positivity rate is 16.4%, with during that period 62 positives out of 377 tests. However, our test rate was down 71 tests, which may be the result of the holiday, because that fell in that 14-day period. I would like to correct the comment that was written in November 30 minutes that the death report was inaccurate, because I went back and listened to the commission meeting November 16, where I stated 2 deaths twice. And then again on the 23rd, I stated 2 deaths. I did hear at the very end of the meeting that someone in the audience had mentioned a death, but I was unable to see who it was. I believe that it was also stated there was a report regarding the death of someone who wasn't deceased. And I believe that someone told me that. I don't believe I reported that. I did report hospitalizations, so I'm just asking that you please don't assume that you know whom the hospitalizations or deaths are who we report from the health department. I do want to let you know that a COVID death is defined as a person with COVID-19 and a death certificate that lists COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 as a cause of death or a significant condition contributing to death. KDHE verifies the information with vital statistics. Keep in mind that this may take some time. The information I receive on numbers is through the EpiTrack system. Therefore, as stated last week, we are currently at 3 verified deaths. So please, in respect to families of deceased, please do not jump to conclusions on your own. Are there any questions?
You say what the active was again?
Can you say that again? I muted you.
Oh, can you say what the active is again?
The active cases right now are 43.
Okay.
And on December 2nd, KDHE released the shortened quarantine guidelines following CDC guidelines. In consultation with Dr. Hodson, KDHE, and surrounding counties, the health department chose to opt in to those guidance, and that became effective December 4th. You may be aware that we are sending all non-home non-household contacts to KDHE for monitoring. And KDHE will be implementing the 10-day period, and they have a delay in implementing the 7-day testing portion. The testing is the individual's responsibility if they choose to go to the 7-day option. And this test does require a negative PCR, not a negative antigen. Individuals will be reminded that testing results may take 3 to 5 days to get those results back if they can't receive a rapid PCR test. Individuals need to continue to self-monitor for the 14 days, even if they're released from quarantine at day 8 or they go with a 10-day option. The CDC has not changed the incubation period. That still remains at 14 days. So we do encourage people that to monitor themselves. If they have any symptoms, even though they've been released, they need to stay home and contact their healthcare provider. The shortened quarantine will not be used for residents of long-term care and assisted living facilities or offender populations in the Department of Corrections prisons. The shortened quarantine started on December 4th. Going forward, this will not be retroactive, and individuals who were previously placed in quarantine by the health department or KDHE are expected to complete their ordered quarantine. Any questions regarding that?
Nope. I don't see any.
Okay. We are seeing a lot of antibody testing done, and I just need to remind everyone that KDHE does not recognize the antibody results. According to KDHE, these newly available tests to identify antibodies to SARS-CoV-2 are of uncertain reliability and are inadequate in diagnosing acute COVID-19 infection. In general, serologic testing often cross-react with similar viruses. For example, a serology test for SARS-CoV-2 may be positive because it has identified a common human coronavirus. Therefore, all symptomatic patients that are IgM positive for SARS-CoV-2 should be tested with PCR for confirmation. So the FDA requires all serology test reports include the following messages. The test is not FDA approved and may not reliably assess exposure to SARS-CoV-2 and should not be used as the sole basis to diagnose or exclude infection. Negative results do not rule out SARS-CoV-2 infection if prior exposure is suspected. They need to use the follow-up PCR to rule out the infection. A positive antibody result may be due to past or present infection with non-SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus species, such as the coronavirus HKU1, NL63, OC43, or 229E. A negative serology test may give a false sense of security when negative, but indeed this may be early in the course of the illness prior to seroconversion. Controversially, a positive IgG may also give false security, as this may be because of past infections with common cold viruses, which do not protect the individual from the SARS-CoV-2. Nor do we know what IgG titer is protected. So we have seen a lot of antibody testing. I believe you can go to different facilities for $25 and have that test. their KDHE, please keep in mind that they don't recognize that. So that won't get you out of quarantine, or that won't diagnose you. Any questions with that?
No.
Okay, the health department did receive some Binax Now kits, which will detect the presence of protein antigens from SARS-CoV-2 in individuals suspected of COVID-19. We received those from the state, and this test will produce results in 15 minutes. The test is best used as a diagnostic test on persons that are symptomatic or asymptomatic, and it has been 5 to 7 days since their exposure. We are in the process of training staff and developing the criteria on the population it would be used for. The recommended use is for diagnostic purposes. Persons should not be tested with a Binax card if it has been over 7 days since their onset of symptoms. Instead, that should be a PCR test. This test can also be used for regular ongoing screening and testing of asymptomatic and unexposed groups of people for early detection of disease. Or there is a higher chance of a false positive when used for this purpose, so a positive patient should have a nasopharyngeal swab collected within 48 hours or tested regular workflow PCR for confirmation at either the state lab or a reference lab. Once we get the logistics worked out, we will post it on Facebook, the county website, and also the press. Keep in mind that simply conducting a test isn't the only aspect involved. We need to clarify the logistics on collecting and reporting. So once those get worked out, we will be offering that through the health department. But I do want to let you know that Jana, who is a school nurse from the Marion district schools, has been very helpful if we run into an issue where we feel like someone should be tested PCR. She has volunteered to test those people, and then through our expanded testing grant, we do pay for someone to transport those specimens up to KDHE. So a big thank you to the Marion Florence school system for helping us get people tested. Any questions on that?
Yeah, Deidre?
Yes?
Forward looking for Marion County, is there any possibilities that the health department is going to be setting up any tests, getting any tests that they can set up and give to the public in any location in Marion County?
I did send, there is a organization called Well Health. Many of you have seen, because we did advertise that Harvey County. Well Health went to Harvey County. They're doing some testing. So I sent in 3 different sites and to KDHE, and they sent it to Well Health. So they're looking at possibly coming to various sites. What they do is they set up Monday through Saturday, a certain time period, and then you can either apply online. It is a free test, and you go in and you get tested. So that's in the works. There's Binax Now. Once we get the logistics, we'll have that available. And people who have been exposed, we usually try and find a place for them to get tested. Our healthcare providers also, if they're current patients, then they can get tested through their healthcare providers.
Okay. I just hear other counties doing things, and I know that they're larger counties, so I know we can't play with what some of the larger counties do, but anyway, just sort of, if there's anything out there, I'd be interested in hearing it.
Yeah, and that's why I did order those Vitex Now kits. They're much like a pregnancy. We have to swab the nose mid-turbinate, then it takes a couple drops of the reactive, and then it's on a card. That takes about 15 minutes before it'll show up.
Okay. Thank you.
So we plan to do those without, at this point, we won't be charging for that, but we have to develop our criteria for that.
Okay.
And also how we're going to schedule that.
Okay. Very good.
I was just gonna kind of give you an update on the COVID-19 vaccinations. Kansas is expected to receive approximately 24,000 doses by the middle of December. And then another 24,000 is expected in 2 to 3 weeks from that, so that they can vaccinate 24,000 individuals. Because as you know, it is a 2-dose series. The CDC recommendations are for states to vaccinate healthcare personnel and residents of long-term care facilities initially. So that's where those 24,000 will go. Vaccines will be distributed or delivered to pre-positioned locations equipped with ultra-cold storage throughout Kansas. And due to security reasons, KDHE will not disclose the locations of these facilities. I don't foresee the health department getting the vaccine until phase 2. So we do have, as I mentioned before, we do have our application. It has been completed. Any questions?
No, I've heard a lot of people concerned about the vaccination, and I think they did 3 trials on it. I mean, it should be completely safe. It should be no worries about this. If you're lucky enough to get it, you don't know. The companies have really went the extra mile on this, and anytime there was an issue, they paused their trial to verify that it wasn't nothing to do with the vaccine. I think we just need to eliminate any of that worry that there's anything to worry about with the vaccine.
Well, and I think we also need to understand this is a SARS virus, and they've been working on SARS-related vaccines for some time. So some of those studies and background has been brought into this study also, so it's not like they just started developing it.
Okay, if nothing else, Deidre, I think that's
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ben, stuck it easy on there.
If bid isn't Matthew both here, Marion County Fire District number 2 can take over.
Well, Matt, yeah, you can go ahead. I mean, if Ben chimes in and let you share the spotlight.
Okay. Very good. So in your packet should be a spreadsheet of a proposal for spending rescue funds. I think Tina's getting there. Okay, yep. So just wanted to run this by you guys here real quick. This year we wanted to wrap up and get a lot of small items that several departments needed. And instead of some really big purchases. For instance, on the rescue department's Marion seatbelt cutters, and they needed some inverters for their trucks. The cutters and the pinchers, rescue equipment, all have battery chargers in the trucks, and so that takes inverters to charge those. And then the main rescue departments have had the they're called hydraulics system. Basically, they're cordless, battery operated hydraulic systems for cutting and lifting for a number of years now. And with several usage, their batteries are getting less capacity. So there's funding for those batteries, replacement batteries. For some of the smaller departments, there's some gas detectors that will detect 4 different kinds of gas, including non-odorized natural gas, which Gossel had an experience with about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And so that those gas detectors are pretty important for these smaller departments because they're usually first on scene, and they can get people out of the building a lot quicker instead of waiting for a department that might have a gas detector. Peabody goes through a lot of flares, and these are some, I'm not sure on the details on these flares, but they need to outfit their trucks. Highway 50 accidents, especially at night, use a lot of flares. And there's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff there, some packages of cones for some smaller departments there. And yeah, the very last item is basically, there's a new technology out called infrared cameras, and they're similar to thermal imaging cameras, but they don't tell the exact temperature. It's just an infrared difference. And right now, end of the year here, we can get some of those on a pretty good price. And as you can see, I'm kind of acting as the point person for this for the Marion County Fire Chiefs Association. I'm encouraging guys to, like for the batteries, there's several departments there that need batteries, to lean a little bit on some of these vendors and get the price down for larger orders. And I've already gotten the price down on those 5 gas detectors that I'll be ordering. I've got the price down by like $30 a piece. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking this year for the rescue money. Looks like we will, with the bulk discounts, we'll probably be just a little bit under budget, which is good. And we'll proceed in getting those receipts to Tina and proceed that way. Going into the future here, we'd like to sit down and make a comprehensive spending plan for the next 2 to 3 years for all the rescue departments in the county. Gossel is looking at becoming a primary one. We currently have all the equipment. We do have one set of jaws that needs to be replaced, and then that would alleviate Peabody and Hillsborough having to come down into Gossel's district for rescue. That's kind of on my goal list for this upcoming year for Gossel. So I want to run that by you, and if you have any other questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, Matt.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I muted you for a second. There you go.
Okay. Matt, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'd like to I think a general meeting would be good, because on down the line here, our requirement for Marion County is rescue. That's what all this started as, extrication and stuff like that. That's why everything was bought for to extricate from cars and vehicles and things like that. I see the 5 gas detectors. That's not actually underneath extrication for county. And then the infrared down here, I don't know for under vehicles and stuff like that, but that's sort of some of the guidelines. I think we're getting a little carried away that we're calling it rescue instead of extrication, and that's the sole purpose of why Marion County divided this money up, was for extrication. So, and you know, we haven't talked about this, but it needs to be talked about. And then Marion County also has went with different ways of our ambulance service since this deal here was put out. I see that we're always looking to see what we can cover for ambulance service and stuff. Would there be a chance of Marion County maybe taking one of our ambulance crews and making it a rescue crew too? So there is some forward-looking thinking here that we may need to talk about, because this money could be pulled back and used to take care of that. So I think there's a general meeting wouldn't be a bad thing for forward-looking. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to deny the gas detectors this time, but I think we have to get back to the sole purpose of what this money started out as, and that is strictly extrication for accidents.
Okay, just to remind you too, yeah, we more than welcome a sit-down meeting. The contract, which I have right in front of me, Marion County EMS, states rescue and not extrication. So the fire departments have a rescue agreement with Marion County EMS and not a extrication agreement. You know, what's your definition of rescue versus extrication? You know, I can see that being argued in many different ways, and that probably is something we should sit down and discuss.
Yeah. Because this money was always intended to be budgeted through the commission, and so it's never been said that it will always be there. It's just, that's what the agreement was for. It was called rescue, but it's actually, just because Marion County had a rescue truck, it was actually for extrication equipment. So, thank you. I just wanted to make everybody aware of this.
Okay. Any other comments, thoughts?
Thanks for all the time you guys put into all this, and everything that you guys do, all the way across the county. I mean, I got to witness it firsthand the other day. I think I seen you in action. It's pretty impressive.
I do need an official action of the board to approve us to pay these expenses if that's the board's desire.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'd second.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Matt. All right. Is there anything else we need? I don't think that's all the further we need to go on that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I see Carl out there and Mickey and Ryan. So go ahead and call Carl. There he is.
Bringing in the whole group today.
Good.
Morning, how's everybody doing? Good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Got a couple things, good. We ready then? Okay.
Take her away.
Okay.
Good to see you again.
Nice seeing everybody here. What we need help with is we wanted to bring these proposals to you guys because our plotter. I don't know if you guys are familiar. We have a plotter downstairs. Okay.
I know this machine too.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
I have one for Salina Blue and it works very well.
Okay. Well, do you want to switch?
No.
By any chance?
No, I used to drive all the time to get blueprints. I'm so grateful.
So what we're doing is this has been broke for a little while now, and Debbie actually got and that's on the first page. Debbie actually got a quote to try to get it fixed, It's a $350 to drive down, and then they think they know what the part is that's broke, but they have a used one that'll cost $500. So we would be looking at a bill for $850 to get it going, but the machine will still be 10 years old. So where we kind of have the dilemma is, do we just buy a new one right now? We have two bids, one from OPI, they're out of Great Bend and Russell. They're on the bid there. It's pretty much the same machine, the 36-inch long. We're going to stay with that. The bid of $3,495. And then on the next page, the option 1 is the option that is identical to OPI's. Okay, same machine. Their bid was $3,695, $200 difference. Debbie she is very comfortable with Salina Blueprint, with their service and so forth. So I guess what we're asking, and then on the next page we have our budget with the capital outlay of $14,000. That nothing's been used out of that budget. I myself would rather go the new machine, since the other one's 10 years old. And I'd hate to spend $850 at the county and then 6 months to a year come back and say, you guys, something else broke on it. And in 2 years we could have $2,000 wrapped up in a 10-year-old machine. So I guess that's what we're asking. I don't know if you typically would want to go with the lower bid compared to it's $200, but I think Debbie is comfortable, once again, like I said, with the service of Salina.
Me personally, I'd rather go with a higher bid for service, because I'm not sure, Great Bend's not that far, but far enough where you may not get same day service.
We actually figure it's about 45 minutes difference, so.
Yeah,
add it on.
so, I mean, we always, when we buy equipment, and being a 10-year-old printer, yes, it's outdated and been a lot of upgrades. I would recommend a Salina Blue.
You make a motion.
I'd make a motion
Is
to
there-
accept the Salina Blue printer.
Just one question. Did anybody look into the lease and how much more that would run? Because I know they take care of
budget.
They take care of your paper, they take care of all your ink, and as long as you just pay by the sheet, so I didn't know if that option was explored.
This printer, I mean, I think Debbie uses it quite often. I just don't know that it's often enough that we would get the benefit of the paper and the ink. Does that make sense?
I mean,
It's
yeah,
not-
as long
it's not
as
high.
you checked into it, that's all I'm asking. I just wanted to make sure that it was weighed
Right.
at one versus another. And then anytime you have an issue with a lease, they come right down. I mean, fix it, so.
Would there be any future outlook to what you just said, Nikki, change from what we use it today to next year or the year after? Because if this is gonna last me 10 years, if you got any forward predictions that maybe a year from now you're gonna use this every day,
I don't see no large change in demand. The zoning uses it, from what I understand from Debbie.
Like emergency management, road and bridge.
Yeah.
I mean, we print maps from it. It's just not as often as our normal everyday printer.
I would second Dave's motion. Any other discussion?
I don't think on that type of, you may not even get a lease quote. A lot of times it's on equipment of 10,000 or more, so.
I got a lease. I'm not trying to say anything, but. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
to be purchased out of the budget.
Out of the capital outlay.
Capital outlay.
Well, that's the way That's the way it was sold to us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for doing that. We'll get a hold of them then, and we'll get that ordered and get her back in business then. The other thing that I had, we put on there for everybody is, I told you a long time ago, when we got the new use values, that's what this here is. It compares the dry crop. This is done by soil types, and then it gives you the 2021 and the 2020, and it lets you guys see what's going to happen with the agricultural values before we even mail these things out by March 1st. The highlighted ones, there's 6 of them. With those 6 highlighted, it's about just under 60% of your county on the soil types. If you go down to the soil type 4671, so we're on the same page here. The dry crop, as you see, is not going to change. It's going to stay at $352 an acre compared to $352 an acre last year. For the native grass, the middle 3 columns, the native grass stayed the same, $74 an acre compared to $74 an acre. The last 3 columns, the tame grass is going to go up $10 an acre. It's going to go from $100 an acre to $110 an acre. We didn't have time, maybe Brian or Nikki knows, on what percentage of the county is tame grass. It's going to be a small percentage on there.
You're talking about
Brome, a
Oh.
lot of your waterways, sometimes that's the most common,
Yeah.
where they may build the waterways and so forth. So we received these from the state the first week of December, last week, and we've had them entered already, and so we're moving quite along with their part. But this will just let you see where we're at and what's going on in the agricultural part there.
But these 6 will take care of 60% of our county.
Just about 60%. I think it's actually 58.8.
Yeah.
Some of these soil types there's less than 1%. So that's just really just nice information.
Yeah.
So between those 2 things, the plotter and the ag use values, I think Nikki and Brian's doing great. You guys. We're going to try to get the final review process started to pick the 2021 values. That may start later this week. And so I think, unless they have any, but I think they're doing a good job. I do.
Well, good deal.
Good deal.
Carl's doing a good job.
I was gonna say, Carl's doing a really good job teaching us, so that probably helps.
That's good.
Thank you.
Everybody's happy then, huh?
Yeah. We made one good decision.
Yeah, it's going really good, so we appreciate that.
Have you got lots of people protesting their taxes yet?
Oh, we got a few down there, I don't have a whole lot yet, but it's pretty early.
What items? I mean, you can say, what items are the land issues, are they?
Honestly,
housing?
I haven't looked at them that
Okay.
far in detail, I get them, date stamp them, paper clip them until I get a decent stack. I think right now we just have residential. I think Debbie said she had one ag one that she knows of. I think people will usually call us and we talk about them. A lot of the time it's why they fill out forms.
Do you guys have any questions or concerns that you've heard out there? Or?
Well, nothing that we weren't already aware of.
Okay. Okay. All right, just checking. So, all right, well, thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Want to emergency manager, Randy Frank.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I seen you in the hall. I didn't know.
All right. Are you in your office over there?
Yes, sir.
Any reason why you couldn't be over here?
Yeah, basically wearing the mask. I'm claustrophobic, and it's it's a real challenge for me wearing a mask.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Randy had this one put on the agenda.
And if you need to do an executive session, we can do that, and I can send him an invite to attend electronically to a special session.
Well, if we're gonna do an executive, I mean, we could probably all spread out, clear out too. I mean, if that would alleviate the mask concern.
I think
Open session is fine with me.
Whichever is personal performance, we usually go into executive session for that. If Randy don't want to, that's his objective too.
I guess that was an open-ended, I don't know if you heard Randy, but it was,
Too many Randys.
yeah, well, I'm not sure his mic is,
He's on.
okay. Go ahead, can you say that again, Randy?
If it's your option, Randy, if you opted to go not into executive session last time we asked, so that's why I'm asking now.
We can go executive on electronically too.
Yeah,
We can.
We can, yes.
I was told what it was about, and I don't believe that there's a need for that.
You don't believe there's a need for an executive session?
I was told you wanted to discuss an issue that someone brought up in the meeting last week.
Yeah. And that is personal, I mean, it is.
We tried to, yeah, we did try to shut that down as much as we could, I guess. Just because it was the right thing to do.
I think if there's no outright objection on Randy's part, you probably should do this in an executive session. And then if there's something you need to talk about in open, you can do that.
I'd make a motion to go in executive session with Randy, and if he wants to stay on Zoom, or Tina can send it to him. Move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-431-9B. For employee, let's see.
Which would be number one.
Number one, for personnel matters, yes, for non-elected personnel. For the 15 minutes
With Randy and the board.
with Randy and the board, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 4-0. All right, Randy, I'll send you a link, or you can come over in person.
Please send me a link.
I'll do that, okay. So right now it is, we'll be back at 11:14. Actually, 11:13. 11:13.
Do we know whether he's by himself or not?
This conference will now be recorded.
I thought I was waiting to go back. Here we go. Oh. There it is. I'm dropping it. Okay, out of executive session, no action taken.
I would like to put an executive session back on the meeting for next week at the end of the meeting. And from the information that we obtained out of the executive session, I'd like for all commissioners to think, and then come back for an executive session next week. See if there's any ongoing thoughts of where we need to go.
I have no problem with that, putting that just a consensus, I think, is what's needed to have that on the agenda. Everybody's nodding heads, okay. All right. As far as that goes, thank you for your time, Randy. We need to do something else that we're going to go on to the next agenda item. Planning and zoning.
Yes, this is a printed copy of that red line.
Oh, the red line. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Just to help
Yep.
follow along what the proposed text changes are.
Oh, it's got the strikeouts.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I noticed. Okay, it's got a lot more red on it
Sorry, I'm
than
gonna
I
reach
saw.
across
Wait, I think you got both of them,
The other one.
but I just included the ones with less red.
Yeah.
Okay. Tina, do you need a copy?
Sure. Since we have it in the meeting, I think it's good to have it.
Is Jody in here today?
No, you could just leave that one at her seat.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so, can you hear me okay with my mask? Okay.
Fine.
Okay. So the planning commission held a public hearing that was noticed in the newspaper on September 2nd. Notification letters were also sent to the appropriate township officers and city officials, giving the 20-day prior notice to the public hearing. The first hearing was held on September 26th, and then, September 24th, and then continued to October 22nd, which is where the planning commission made the recommendation by majority vote to pass these text amendments along to you. And you have a copy of the red line version of what those text amendments are. You'll see that some things were struck out and some things were added. And then you were provided a copy of what it would look like with those changes made. I do want to clarify one thing before we get too far on this. The planning commission recommended that I get legal counsel on one section of this, and it was, it has to do with repowering. And we originally had that portion in, give me just a minute here. Section 27-105, number 11. It's all red letters, but the intent of that piece didn't quite match with the wording, so we got legal counsel on that, and the planning commission approved basically whatever it was that legal counsel gave us. But legal counsel gave me that information after the public hearing. And so, they believe that it should actually go in section 106. So since the planning commission didn't see that final text from legal counsel, I would feel better about it, and it would be more appropriate if you wish to accept these changes as they are for you in this document, that you override the planning commission's decision and accept it with the language as legal counsel has it. Does that make sense? Because the planning commission never approved the exact language that we got from legal counsel. They just said, we want you to get legal counsel, plug it in, and send it to the commissioners.
So what you're saying is 27-105-11 needs to be repurposed in 27-106.
Yes.
As item number 7.
Yes, that's correct. So it was, as item number 5. If you take a look at page 27-7,
you'll see that section 27106 is all red letters and it's all struck out.
Okay.
Pat Hughes reorganized it. It all says the same thing down below with the addition of that repowering piece. So it basically all stayed the same except for he reorganized it into the more appropriate section and added the piece about repowering. What the intent of that repowering piece is that if the wind project, the owner at the time wants to go through and completely revamp the project and upgrade all the turbines, we want to have the ability to come back to those agreements and different things like that and take another look at it instead of just giving them free rein for
The CUPs
30
are all
more
based
years.
on the megawatts of the tower, so if you're gonna change a bunch of stuff, then that's
Right.
gonna change obviously too, so.
That's right. And it would also bring them back to the current tax status at that time. So they can't just keep
A lifetime exemption if it dropped to a 10-year.
that's exactly right.
Right.
Yes. So that's the purpose of that.
Okay.
That piece.
Did you see, after you got this back, do you see, you've read it, do you see anything that you're not happy with?
I think that the planning commission has worked very hard to listen to the public on both sides and try to make a workable solution with this set of regulations. I did have the ability to go in and interject a few things that are important because I deal with the pen and paper side of these. So I was able to get some things on paper that we didn't necessarily have before.
And you're talking not only this section here, but the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Okay.
And, you know, it's not, we're not going to make everyone happy. There are those who are opposed to wind generation in Marion County altogether. There are those who are very open to it and want to see more of it, and there are a lot of people in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as long as we're,
Both sides.
you know, as long as we're still allowing applications for wind energy projects, we need to have a set of regulations that we can stand behind. And I feel like it's, you know, the planning commission has worked very hard to draft something that does that.
Well, in reading through this, and going back through the history that at least Randy and I have been through, it does appear that all of those items that there's been question about were dealt with in one way or another.
Yes.
Because we've gone through them so many times, it just becomes part of your life, you know?
Tell me about it.
She's gonna second that statement.
Yeah. Yes. And this set of, you're right, Kent, this set of regulations has evolved for the past 15 years. I'm gonna just throw that number out there.
Yeah.
And they've been amended multiple times. This was, you know, a fairly large revamp on the regulations. We tried to use experience and current situations to help draft these regulations to try to make them up to date.
When you have a new industry, especially in your county, you kind of have to go off experience. I mean, you really do, off of others, what you glean from others, and then your own experience is really what dictates it in the end.
That's right,
So-
yeah. And technologies, I mean, I know there were some discussions of things in here that were there are still some things that are changing on a daily basis, but it's hard to wrap a paragraph around.
about the lighting situation, the technology changed.
Right, yes.
I was there for that meeting. I was very impressed with the thought, thoroughness from everybody.
Yeah.
All the new members, some of the old ones, just totally looking at it like it wasn't gonna be in their backyard. They were all very impressive.
You have to have a lot of dedication just to be on that planning commission, because every issue is kind of long and sometimes gets pretty dry. And, to keep an interest in it, we're blessed to have the group that we have.
That's absolutely right. And there's a good mix of people on that board. I mean, there are people that are all over the spectrum on, where they are with wind development, but they've tried to stay objective and, for the most part, as non-biased as possible.
But I've been with this thing since Grandpa back here was on the committee. And anyway, it's what Kent said, a new deal. When we don't have no experience, if you don't have experience, you gotta rely on somebody. That's why we chose Pat Hughes. Pat Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
And to lead us through, and I don't care if that industry's changed since we looked at it when the first plot was put out down here in the southeast corner of Marion County.
Right.
And so it's just changed, and I think it's going to change. I think maybe our rules today may not be good for 10 years from now. Who knows? Yeah. Yeah.
Then you'll have to have a set of solar regs soon.
Yeah, that is a discussion we've had.
Yep.
Well, it's in here. Mantor, Kansas has it. I mean, it's there out there right now. I'd like to see the plant since it's been finished. I've just seen it in construction, but it's out there right in our back door. So
Yep, it's
Yeah.
gonna be here sooner than we think.
yeah. But I would like to thank the board, the planning zone board, for doing what they've done.
Thank you. I'll pass that on to them at our next meeting. They do work hard, and I really appreciate that board. Do you want to go through these changes, or do you have any questions on anything in particular?
I don't have no questions.
Okay.
I've been through it. I think the areas we talked about for a long time have been addressed.
So in the resolution, is it the ones with the legal changes suggested by the legal counsel are in the resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
And the resolution is actually written to show that the governing body voted to override the planning commission's recommendation with respect to section 271065. So you would be approving, and did you get a copy of the resolution?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the resolution shows all of the changes made that are in this document as a clean final draft. And it shows that section that Pat Hughes drafted. And please feel free to look it over, take your time.
Yeah, it looked like it was already, even the recommendation had already been moved. But it probably needs to be noted in the motion.
Yes.
So,
And that's if you want to approve it the way that it is.
on the clean resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just like to take a poll for the voting commission members, or is everybody okay to move forward?
Yeah.
I mean, and their job is to create a box. It isn't to close the box. It is to create a box. And if you can fit within the box, then that's how you get your permits.
Right. Mhm.
Do you have a resolution number?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve resolution number 20-29 with text moved at 105.11 to 106.5. Is that correctly stated, Sharon?
I think
Okay.
before the resolution is adopted, you need to take action to override the planning commission's
We'll make a motion
recommendation.
to override the planning commission on moving text from 105.11 to 106.5.
Yes.
Second.
Second by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So then I will rescind my motion and make a motion to approve resolution number 2020-29.
I checked that.
Second by Randy. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0.
And is it okay if I get Randy before he has
Yep.
to? Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that you get the.
No, clarity is best in this one. Lots and lots of clarity is good in this one.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Sharon. I don't mean to butt out, but I got a doctor's appointment to go to. So thank you, Commission. Have a great day. See you, Dave. Yeah, thanks, Dave. Thank you, Dave. You too, fellas.
All right, anything else?
And that's all I have today.
Thank you.
Thanks for making up some time.
Hey, no problem. I'm glad that went smoothly.
Yeah.
Planning commission did the work, so.
Yeah, well, I know you were there.
Yeah.
I seen you and I
I've
seen.
been reading it.
All right, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Do you want?
No, it's not planning and zoning.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to give that to you so you're aware.
Yeah, deal.
This is just a press release that was already sent out to the press by the sheriff, and I just wanted to make sure you are all aware as well.
Wow. Never really think of those things here.
Was she local?
All right, I'm gonna carry on anyway. So, is anybody out there, public comment? We just got the usual suspects in the room, so. We still have a quorum, so our meeting can continue. I have not seen the chat box light up. I didn't see it light up prior to going into executive. Okay. Close public comments and go into commission comments.
Yeah, I have one, and I think I will try, I'll go ahead and tell you what I've got the issue with, but we need to get Josh Hausman on the agenda for next week, transfer station. I have been getting a few calls already about where are the dumpsters? Well, the dumpsters are gone. Well, I can't get to the transfer station by 4:30 and there's no way we're ever going to be able to. And I said, well, let me talk to the transfer station manager and see, and in talking with Josh, he brought up the idea of possibly maybe moving a couple of employees to come in an hour later, stay an hour later. Of course, I call these people back. I say, can you get the trash to the transfer station by 5:30? No way. That transfer station needs to be open till 6 o'clock minimum and 1 o'clock on Saturday, or we've got issues. That was the.
How many people?
3. But the next day, there was trash out on the ground already. So we're gonna run into that with these, and we're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna have trash blowing around.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a work in progress here too.
This lady told me I got a whole pickup load, and I'm not driving 15 miles back home and coming back in. It's going on the ground. I said, well, I might tell you what to do.
Send the sheriff out that side.
Well,
yeah. I mean, it's
that's not really something we want to do.
Yeah.
They got somebody now working on it.
The other thing is up that alley is recycling, I've heard.
Yeah.
And since now that the fence is up, maybe we can have at least household recycling come in throughout the week rather than only on Fridays. I know it can only get in the truck on Friday, but if we've got the dumpsters in a secured area.
You're talking about cardboard.
Yeah, cardboard, cans, whatever, just, there's people coming in from the country that, and I've heard some that are not afraid to pay the fee. They would like to not pay the fee at all. And I've explained to them our situation with Fort Riley and, you know, what we'd like to do going down the road, but convenience is more important. Being able to come in any day of the week and dump their household, you know, small amount into something that we could later push in on Friday. And I think the building was made for a containment area, but we also have a containment fence now that could also be used.
Well, you know, we have those garage doors, but I know that's direct access to the tipping floor.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Josh about that, and he said, we've already had people step over that lip and come right out on the tipping floor. So now we're gonna have to make a sign that says, stay off the tipping floor, this is where you put the trash. And there is a sign up there today that says trash only between the 2 garage doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot
But
of
why
signage.
people think they need to climb over that, and I don't.
Yeah, well, we've got that to work on. We've got signage, we've got directional signage, we've got a lot of things, and it's a new thing. It's gonna take a minute. Everything that's new always takes a minute to get.
That Josh says, you know, he's talked to other places, their transfer stations, and they just said, don't put those dumpsters back out.
Yeah.
Just do not do it.
Because people are gonna abuse them and throw them out on the ground, and they just.
Right, but the only thing I was bringing up was recycling in the containment area.
How often do these people, I mean, once a month or once a week?
Oh, well, there's a lot of people that come once a week, you know, and, you know, being that we have a solid waste transfer fee, they're paying it. And some of us, on top of that, are paying that plus the refuge company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we really need to make it as handy as possible. I know we're limited by employees, but
No, it definitely.
if we're gonna serve the public, it's probably not gonna work very good to close at 4:30.
Yeah, we need service and
The
convenience.
staggered work hours, I mean, two come at regular time, then 2 come at 10 o'clock or something.
Yeah, he's had some other things to work through too. I mean, this was to be expected, especially being short-staffed through some of it too. So, but yeah, I agree.
So anyway, if we
need
can
to
put
have
that
more
on the agenda for next week and have Josh here, we give a little more thorough discussion.
You in agreement with that on the agenda?
Yeah.
So the consensus in the room is all, okay.
Which we can do about it.
Well, yeah. Any other commissioner comments? I had a few items that kind of got cleared off the desk today, so I'm good with that. So, thank you, Tina. All right, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Kent. All those in favor? Aye. 3-0. Did you want to say anything about that? I guess you just notifying us on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing we can do about it now, are you sure?
Yep.